Hey guys, a very good morning and welcome back to another daily market outlook. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend and welcome to this euro dollar and the major dollar pairs market outlook. So starting off with euro dollar and then we're going to change over into towards the dollar index. So starting off with euro dollar over here on the daily is still swing bearish all the way from this high in towards this low. We made a perfect pullback in towards that daily 618 fib, in towards that area of daily supply, and then the market started crashing in towards downside, provided us with this fractal break and this internal break of the overall structure. And from that point onwards, we have just been crashing downwards due to the fact that there was no real area of demand until that we came in towards this area of daily sell before a massive buy in towards the highs, and that is then your area of demand. As we can clearly see now that we've tapped in towards this final sell for the buy, we can straight away see a refined reaction and a pretty significant reaction as well back up in towards the highs. So now looking at euro overall, it could seem feasible that we're now ready to make, for example, a short-term pullback in towards this buy before the sell, which broke the structural low, to then, for example, continue in towards the downside in line with the overall daily swing structure. But before that, we look for these short-term longs, because potentially during the beginning of the week we could see something like this, and then towards the end of the week that further downside continuation, or of course we just continue downwards. But to kind of like find the bias in one of either, we need to look at the lower time frame. So going in towards the 4 hour, the 4 hour is obviously swing bearish all the way from this high in towards, at the moment, this low. The fact that we're now kind of stalling in price comes because of the fact that we're inside this area of range, right? So this is the range. When we have these clean moves to our left, we expect that price just kind of like reflects it and moves in towards downside. And as soon as we kind of come in towards this overall range over here, so pretty much as a sell before a massive buy, that is when the market starts to stall. So we can clearly see this low comes in towards pretty much exactly the overall range, and then we see this bullish reaction in towards the highs. Now that we've come deeper in towards the final sell before the buy. And obviously if we refine it towards the 4 hour, we have a refined 4 hour POI points of interest lying over here. So pretty much at the moment, the overall fractal structure here on the euro dollar is bearish on the 4 hour. So this is pretty much your swing high on the fractal structure, which is or should be respected should we see further downside. So overall what I'm looking for is pretty much this buy before the sell to be respected. As long as that is respected, we should continue in towards the downside, in towards this 4 hour area of demand, and then from there potentially see some kind of reaction, and we could kind of like form some kind of corrective pattern in towards that area of demand before then potentially seeing a further push up. But of course that is then dependent on, okay, do we then break, for example, this buy before the sell, or do we just keep on respecting it? Because at the moment, guys, we're just respecting the overall order flow, right? So we did break over here the order flow, so we created kind of like a sell before the buy when we broke these highs, but then obviously we kind of did stall, but then with NFP we just crashed in towards the downside. So now we're bearish again, and as long as we respect these highs, we will continue down lower. Let's say that the market now starts pushing upwards and we break, or we do break this high, then I will be looking for that long to trade that pullback on your dollar in towards the upside, because obviously we've seen a BOS over here on the 4 hour, and after a BOS you do expect a pullback in towards at least the overall 50% mark of the range. So that's now what I'm looking for. So looking to trade it potentially back in towards premium versus discount. So in towards that 50% mark, for example, in towards this area of supply over here. But before that, I'm not going to look for any long at all. Of course, we need to see the overall order flow broken. And at the moment, order flow is just bearish. So as long as we remain bearish, we keep on shorting. And this area of further demand is just a potential or a high probability area from where we could then potentially see the overall structure break and see a further upside push with that break of the internal structure. Because guys, remember, 4 hour is still bearish. We had a 4 hour BOS. So yeah, I mean, we're still bearish on the 4 hour. Now going in towards the 15, just to make it clear for everyone. So the overall 15-minute is also still bearish. We do have a lot of liquidity lying above these highs over here, some very obvious trendline liquidity. Obviously, we pulled back in towards this buy before the sell-off. So a strong push in towards downside. However, also a very strong push back up, kind of like a V-shaped reaction over here, indicating that there was a lot of demand coming in towards that area. And it's not shown here, but of course, obviously what I just explained, that overall daily sell before the buy. So indicating that there's a lot of demand. So we could start pushing up higher, but in order for that to be realized, I would pretty much want to break higher above this area of supply, then for example pull back, and then you could look for a long. But again, very, very risky, not really my appetite. What I'll preferably just do is wait on euro dollar to see, okay, if we want to look for longs, we just at least wait for that 4-hour high to go, because that's also your, or the 50-minute highs to go, because that's also your 4-hour high. And otherwise, for the rest, just keep on looking for those shorts further in towards the downside, trying to identify the overall demand flow or supply flow, because at the moment, we're just kind of stuck inside this range over here. So preferably you would want to kind of like break out in towards the downside, see a strong push in towards the downside, because at the moment, again, we're just ranging, see a strong push, and then obviously form kind of like a buy before the sell, pull back in towards there, and then see a further sell-off. So potential shorts from 107.638, but we would need like a strong push away from here. Otherwise, if we do move up high, I'm not really interested in looking for any shorts, because of the fact that we kind of have all this trendline liquidity here, and I wouldn't like shorting just from a random area of supply. So that's euro dollar, quite the extensive explanation. Quickly going in towards the dollar index. The dollar index, I'm just going to keep it real brief. Over here, obviously, we took out this fractal high. So the fractal structure over here on the daily is bullish, going in towards the 4-hour. Obviously, we sold off in towards downside, but then with the NFP, we pretty much skyrocketed back in towards the highs. So again, fractal break of structure. What I'm waiting for today is pretty much, I'm just going to draw in over here. This is like your fresh area of 4-hour demand, which broke this 4-hour area of supply. So if we do pull back, look for longs on the dollar index from this area of the market. Otherwise, just wait for the dollar index to move up higher and wait for it to reach this area of supply over here, and then just wait to see how we react. But preferably, of course, you guys know my bias on the dollar, looking for further upside, especially kind of like with this fractal structure break. Let's see, I want to kind of at least soon this week take out this high over here of around 104.567. Moving on in towards AUDUSD. So AUDUSD has been pushing down today. What I'm looking for on AUDUSD pretty much is, and I just kind of drawn in because you guys know from, if you watch my videos for a long time, the overall structure is of course still bearish from this high in towards this low. But now that we had so much structural development, I'm just going to focus on what current structure is doing. So if we look at that structure, the overall structure is bullish from this low in towards this high. Then what happened? We saw a daily fractal break of structure in towards the downside. But now we've had kind of again some more structure develop. We've pushed now in towards this buy before the sell, and we've reacted from it. However, what I'm now looking for potentially is one more push down on the daily in towards this fresh sell for the buy. We also have kind of like this liquidity low over here, which I'd like to see get taken out. But that is it for the daily. The daily is not very clear, so let's focus on the 4-hour, because if we focus on the 4-hour, then it does become a little bit more clear, because what we then see over here is pretty much, and again, 4-hour overall is bullish from that same daily structure. So from this low in towards this low, or in towards this high, excuse me. And then overall, what you can pretty much see is, I'm not going to focus on all the structure that we have over here, but we get that push in towards downside, we get that pullback, then we get another push in towards downside, then a push up, break of the structure. So pretty much daily and 4-hour alignment, clean area of 4-hour demand. So I would like to look for longs from here. Preferably now what you want to see is, okay, is demand going to give a reaction? So wait for that 4-hour fractal structure break over here, and then look for those longs in towards the highs, targeting kind of like these two highs where liquidity lies above. So that's my game plan for Aussie dollar for today and tomorrow, waiting for waiting to see, okay, are those double highs going to get taken out? Also in line with the overall 50-minute structure, because this is your 50-minute low, this is your 50-minute high. Price is, or at least I am waiting for price to pull back in towards this refined area of 50-minute demand. That is preferably where I would like to long from. If you want to wait for the higher probability longs, then wait for that 4-hour fractal high to get taken out, which lies over here. So you can pretty much only go long. It is, of course, riskier, as we're not waiting for that 4-hour fractal structure break. But overall here, the 15-minute is bullish. So you can look for those longs. But But then again, maybe what you would preferably want to do is wait. Okay, do we get in towards this area of demand? Yes. Then wait, for example, for a high takeout and then look for those longs. That is higher probability than just buying, of course, from this area of demand. If you want to wait for even higher probability setups, then wait for this high to get taken out, which is, of course, your 4-hour fractal high, like I just explained. GBPUSD, moving in towards the downside from this area of supply. Overall, what are we looking for? Well, daily is obviously kind of like inside this area of demand over here. This is your fractal low, so as long as this low doesn't go, we are still kind of bullish. So therefore GU is a little bit in, let's say, no man's land. It's looking good for longs, but at the same time, if we go in towards the daily is swing bearish, and we're kind of like inside daily supply. We're also in weekly supply, so inside this weekly supply zone, and it looks good to move down lower on the weekly. So therefore I'm kind of hesitant with really taking any trades. Therefore, if I would want to take any long, then definitely would have to wait for the overall supply flow to get taken out, because at the moment we can clearly see buy before the sell over here, reacts, taken out, buy before the sell, comes in, and then boom, push downwards. So overall, this is still pretty much your buy before the sell. So as long as we don't really take out the highs up above over here, then it still looks good to just continue downwards. Also, there's no real clear area of fresh demand over here. That's going to really, let's say, make price reverse in towards the highs. So if you want to look for any longs, just wait for that high to get taken out. But before I'm going to be taking any shorts, I want to see this low get taken out over here on the 4-hour, and the 4-hour structure overall to flip. So therefore, just really waiting on GU. Then NZDUSD. So NZDUSD overall on the daily time frame obviously provided us with kind of that further downside. So what we had was a daily fractal break in the overall structure. So it took out this high over here, pushed downwards, took out this low over here, meaning that at the moment you're fractal bearish on the daily. So we had a daily BOS. What do we expect after a break of structure? We expect a pullback in towards the downside. How do we recognize a pullback after a fractal break in structure? So simply what happened over here is pushing towards this supply zone. Sadly, this supply zone was formed and pushed back to before the fractal break of structure. So now at the moment, this is pretty much your buy before the sell over here, and we're moving downwards from it. We kind of tapped into it over here with this wick, but it is therefore looking good to push down lower. Obviously, the daily is looking to make a further retracement, with this being your daily premium versus discount. So looking for a push at least in towards that 50% mark. Then going in towards the 4-hour, the 4-hour has now provided us with a bearish break of structure. So what I'll now be looking for are potential shorts if we do pull back. So of course we had this fresh area of sell before the buy, reacted, boom, push upwards, but now we're in there again, so there's less demand inside it, so less probability that we're going to see another strong reversal. So what I'll be waiting for is just kind of like something like this, and then we look to sell from, let's say, supply and further downwards in towards the lows. So just follow the overall order flow and do the same for the 15-minute. You can keep on looking for those shorts from fresh areas of supply, or you look at the 1-hour, whatever you prefer. So that's NZDUSD. Obviously now gold, and gold of course held supply over here, very beautiful, then tanked in towards downside, pretty much just broke these lows obviously, and then we pushed up. Then this became your sell, or this buy before the sell, with over here kind of like the internal low break. So overall structure was like this, and then we just kept on selling off in towards the downside. So you're still looking to see what gold can do. It is inside this area of daily demand, so it is kind of like prime potentially for a pullback in towards this refined buy before the sell over here. I mean, that is that. As we can see, every single time we had a sell before the buy over here, the pretty much the sell before the buy got mitigated, got taken out, got tapped into. So there's no real fresh area of demand except for this one. So if we do break this zone over here that we have, and the low is kind of at 1986 or whatever, then it does look like gold could push down even lower. So guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Wish you all a fantastic day. If you have any questions, make sure to join the Discord server, link in the description down below, and speak soon. Thanks guys.